Hmm. Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I'm very curious. What is, in some ways, it felt as though Portia has some sort of issue with Nina. They're hanging out at the club or whatever, and they see those two. They see Drew and Nina, and she's like, oh, it's weird, they're together. I don't know what they're up to. I'm just like, it's none of your damn business. Like, it's none of your business. Why do you care who Drew is they're hanging out with? And then there's a point where they're together, Nina and Portia, because Curtis and Drew are talking business. And Nina brings up the whole, wait, I'm just so surprised, y'all two are hanging out and everything like that, especially after the whole, insider trading thing. And I'm like, why are you bringing that up? Why do you feel the need to sit there? And I felt like in some sort of way, it's like you kind of threw that in her face. And I'm like, should we start sitting there bringing up all your skeletons? What was the point of that? Like why was she so curious? I don't really understand that. And in a way, I'm kind of surprised Nina didn't sit there and take that as like kind of offensive. Like why are you bringing that up? Well, that was so long ago. We kind of made up or whatever. And she does sit there and say that like we kind of moved on and she talks about the reasons why she kind of just let it go and everything. But it's like she didn't really have to explain that to you because you didn't need to really bring that up. Um, Now, long story short, there's a point where Nina tells Drew that you can't sit there and split your focus. You can't sit there and spend your time on Aurora and sit there and be trying to run for congressman. So you got to sit there and pick one. And so at some point, Drew tells Curtis that he wants him to be the acting or whatever CEO or like head honcho or whatever. And Curtis is like, that's great and everything like that, but what about Michael? And Drew is like, Michael's attention needs to be somewhere else. Now, at first, part of me was sitting there thinking like maybe he needs to sit there and have his attention focused more on making Willow happy. This way, Willow don't be, finding reasons or, you know, getting all hot and bothered every time she sits there and sees Drew. But what she really meant was ELQ. I'm assuming that's what he meant. I'm hoping that's what he meant because I felt like in some sort of way that might have actually been like a kind of a dig at him, even on a subconscious level. Like, maybe if, you were sitting there handling your business, your girl wouldn't be, all attracted to me. Just saying. Um, Now, Michael and Ned were sitting there arguing back and forth about handling things with Valentine. And Ned was like, listen, I got it. I can sit there and take care of it. I'll find Valentine and everything like that. And Michael's going back and forth with him. And I'm kind of just like, is this something you really need to be doing right now? But they're going back and forth. They're trading insults and everything. Ned brings up Sunny and everything. Um, Now Lois and Willow are in the room. And Willow's like, I'm going to go out, just to kind of de-escalate the situation. So Michael leaves Willow. And Lois starts getting out of pocket. Okay? Lois is like, can't you find a way to put, what Sunny did, like put all that stuff with that animosity, whatever, in the past with Sunny. And I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? Okay. So let's just kind of reiterate this whole thing. You want Ned to just put behind the fact that Sunny shot his brother, AJ. Sunny took advantage of a brain damaged Jason and all the other stuff that I'm pretty sure he probably did. But just those two things alone, you want him to just put it behind you. Lois, if Sunny hurt one of your family members, would you be just to let it go like that? But yet you're going to sit there and ask him to do exactly that. So he was like, no, hell no. And she's like, she's really surprised. And I'm like, what? Now, I'm not sitting there trying to say insults or anything like that, but it's out of pocket. Let's just put it that way. It's definitely out of pocket. Um, anyway, they're going at it back and forth. Geo comes in. And, Geo starts kind of sticking up for Lois. And, this is where Ned is like, how could I sit there and be able to trust you? I mean, you ditched your accent so fast, like it meant nothing to you. How could I trust you? I don't really understand her ditching her accent as far as a level of trust. Because Lois is like, you can trust me and this, that, and the third, and I'm like, I don't understand how ditching. Now the other stuff, he really should have just brung that up as a valid reason of why he can't just let that ish go, which in reality, no one should. Um, but at some point, Michael does actually get to the club or whatever. And I thought that Michael was going to be a little bit more upset at Curtis, um, taking over the position, but Michael actually has more experience. But the thing is, Michael is not just, doing Aurora, but he's also doing ELQ. So, he's like, okay, whatever, fine, or whatever, I'll take care of ELQ, and, it is what it is. At some point, he did actually have a decent conversation with Nina. Now, when they first get to the club, Willow sees Drew, and they're talking for a little bit, but eventually she just kind of bolts out and she tells Nika that, she wasn't really feeling too well, so she went, she was going to go home. But then Drew walked up, and Drew made a valid point. Drew was like, yo, listen, we can't keep ditching, we can't keep running out the room every time we're in the same room, because eventually somebody is going to catch on. It's not, what I'm saying, it's just going to be a bad look. Um, so at some point, Willow does come back and sees Nina. And she looks all flustered and everything like that. And Nina's like, are you okay? Is it Drew? And she's like, no, it's fine. It's nothing. I'm like, boo, how long are you going to sit there and be able to keep doing that? Because at some point, what happens if you lose? Did you ever sit there and think if Drew actually loses, then I guess he's going to be back at the house and, you know, like, oh, just confess your sins and pray to whoever God that you pray to and hope that you can salvage your marriage. Um, Now this whole going back to this whole James Bond, Jason, Anna, and everything like that. Holly catches Anna, um, picking up Sitwell's phone. And at first she was going to sit there and just, rat her out and everything. But Anna's able to sit there and convince her to work with her by, explaining everything that's going on with Lucky and Luke and everything. I mean, Lucky and Lulu and everything, and how Lucky's really needed and stuff. So she explains the whole situation. Um, and Holly's like, even if you do have his phone, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. He changes the password every day. It's just not going to work. So, and it's like, I need you to sit there and be an inside woman or whatever. So while that's going on, Jason realizes that Stitwell is cheating. The woman that's next to him is really like kind of helping him out. So he exposes him, and I thought that Sitwell was just gonna just leave, but he decides to sit there and play cards, and then he starts losing, like a lot, right? And at one point he gets up and he's like ready to leave, but Holly convinces him to stay. Just play another hand. He doesn't have any more actual cash with him, so he bets Holly's bracelet that he was going to get. And of course, he loses that as well. So he goes back, and Holly again is like, yo, listen, why don't you just invite him back over? Because you're not going to get in my good graces until you win back that bracelet. At some point throughout this part, um, Sitwell is informed by some guy of who Jason and Anna is. So, Sitwell invites them both back to the compound, and when they go to go get their, stuff from the hotel, Sitwell tells Holly, like, yo, listen, I'm gonna get to the bottom. I'm gonna make sure that I punish Anna and Jason for lying to me. So at this point, he knows who they are. How does he know that? I mean, I know the guy told him, but like, I mean, maybe he's just that paranoid to sit there and be looking up every single person, or have a security look up every single person or whoever Sitwell is keeping in contact with. That's the only explanation that I have. Um, and then afterwards, Lois talks to Geo, and they're talking about Sunny, and Geo finds it very hard to believe that Sunny can be, hated by so many other people, but have been so good to him. And Lois explains to him that Sunny has many sides to him. For every bad thing that Sunny's done, he's also done an act of kindness with people. This is where sometimes you always sit there and say, does the good outweigh the bad in the world that you do? Um, so they talk about that mostly. Lucky apparently got beaten to the end of his life so badly to the point where he is delirious and that they're seeing Liz. Now, there's one point in this conversation where Liz is sitting there asking questions like, why did you leave so long? And, again, this whole retcon thing is just BS. But even with this new history involved, when he sits there and says things like, well, I had to leave, I couldn't be the father that he deserved me to be. And I'm just like, so you decided to let her raise your son and two other kids practically by herself. And I know there was times where Franco was there, and maybe somebody else was there, but I feel like that's such a shitty excuse. I really do. There's one point where I think Liz talks about Aiden or whatever, and he's like, well, thank you for sitting there taking care of our son. And I'm like, did you just thank her for that? I mean, seriously, who else is going to sit there and do it? Because clearly, you was nowhere to be found. And his subconscious pretty much kind of calls him a coward, which is what he is. Um, for him to sit there and say, well, I thought about you every day and stuff like that, I'm just like, see, this is part of this conversation is actions speak louder than words, right? For every word that he's not there saying, you could just sit there and say it's BS. I missed him so much and everything like that. You missed him, but you weren't there for him. You didn't think it was important enough for him to be there for him. You sit there and talk about you weren't the man that he needed you to be. Your ego was so fragile that you didn't want your son to see you anything else other than larger than life. Seriously? Because honestly, to tell you the truth, that's just selfish. There's no other way to sit there and justify that. And that's what he does throughout most of this conversation. He justifies it and he says things where his actions proves otherwise. So it's kind of an annoying conversation, and all it just boils down to is him just finding excuses for him being an absentee dad. Like Luke. Because apparently, we gotta sit there and start, retconning some shit. But, it is what it is. Also want to sit there and point out how out of pocket Lois is for sitting there saying that Ned and Sunny are so much alike. Like, one is a career criminal. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, Sunny has good qualities, but like, that would be insulting to anyone to sit there and say, well, you and Sunny, you and the career criminal, who have hurt, tortured, and killed people. No, no. You and him, you're a lot alike. Yeah, that would sit there and piss me off as well. I feel like there's something else. Oh, and then she also brung out, remember that time? Because, Sonny was, Ned wasn't there really giving it to Sonny, in this conversation. And Lois was like, remember that time that you had amnesia and, you went to Sonny and he helped you out? He did it without thinking twice. Yeah, he also shot his brother pretty much without thinking twice. Or did you forget that? Yeah. Anyway, I feel like there's a little bit more probably I have to sit there and say. Stuff that I might have missed in this episode, or just stuff I may want to get kind of more deeper dive into it. Man, I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of weird romance with Anna and Jason. Because even the Holly was like, oh, I see you and Jason may be a thing or whatever. I mean, how would Robin feel? Like, how would Robin feel? How would Robin feel about the boyfriend that she went out with, and then she finds out that her ex-boyfriend is dating her mom? Kind of makes you want to throw up in your mouth when you think about it. Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. If I missed anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about all the shows, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and Restless. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.